I'm back from a short break. Just made a cup of tea, got a snack, and while I was on the break, it occurred to me that the reason I couldn't find that end event that I was looking for HTTP was that what I'm probably getting back here is just a standard node stream. So if I have a look for end event on node streams, it makes sense that they wouldn't document it if it's just a standard part of streams. Then that should give me that info that I was looking for. So it tells us about the end event, what you get back, and yeah, so basically that is all the information about what I am getting back with this response, which I probably mentioned that HTTP request, HTTP request. That's what gets returned. It still doesn't seem like it mentions that it's a stream, but I guess if I had used streams more, then I probably would have been able to just do that intuitively without having to look around and guess. So, excuse me, I basically have a basic working program, and I wanted to make it able to take some different parameters. Also, I've got some cleaning up to do, so I might get rid of some of this logging that I'm not using right now. Just commenting it out. Oh, that status 200 is probably useful. Let me know if I get some kind of error back. So, I guess probably the simplest thing to do would be to try and be able to pull out different pieces of the document. So there's the summary there. Let's also try and be able to get the syntax. So I'll inspect that element, and the ID is syntax. That's nice. And what have we got after that? We've got pre-element, H3 element, dictionary list, and then the next section. So this is actually good. This is a slightly different challenge because I have to get more information from out of there. But first of all, I guess I'll just want to get something that can take a couple of command line arguments and let's say just one for now, just to keep it simple, and use that to determine what it looks up. So I guess I could have summary, that string could be passed in, and also syntax. So I guess we can just have a few standard things that you can type and it will try and get the appropriate element. So for that I want hash syntax, and that one I want summary, no sum. Alright. So these are possible arguments. So let's see. I might abstract this out a little bit. So let's just say make a function. Oh, actually I won't bother putting in a function yet. Let's just make it totally procedural. So I should have process.argv as my arguments, and just try logging the arguments just to make sure that's working. Comment those out so they don't break the program. Okay, so that's printed out a couple of things. I basically have I think that's what's printing out, that array. So we've got node as the first argument, which is that part. And the second argument becomes basically that file name. Now if I call it with something else, like summary, then I get that as the third argument. So if I were to print out process.argv2, that should give me index 2, which is that thing that I passed in, summary or ruba. That works too. So that looks right. So instead of logging it, let's say the section that you want is that. Now let's just make sure that it's valid if the syntax for checking something is in an array. So basically I'll just have some valid sections. I might actually end up making an array for now, but I might end up making this a map that maps the string that we're using as the section name to the element ID that is being looked for. But for now, an array will do. And I want to know if that array contains a string, so JavaScript array contains. Give me something. Unless there's something wrong with my internet, in which case it won't. That's right, it's array index of. So you can tell if an array contains something by valid sections index of section. So if it's not equal to that'll return -1 if it doesn't contain it. So now I want to have like an error and abort the program. Section. I think I can make that an error. So let's try that with an invalid thing. Foo doesn't have a method error perhaps. Sublime seems to think syntax. So that's good, except it's not aborting the program. So what I might just do is say else, run all of this code. It's a little bit messy, but that's okay. I'll clean it up and split it into some separate modules in not too long. So that should now, with that invalid thing, not run anything else. And then if I give it a summary, give it a valid value syntax, it's worked, but it's not using that yet. So now I'll just grab section and use that in here. Where is it that I grab that section? Down here. So and complete data. There's the section. Kind of want a map now. So just turn that into a map, which maps summary to that ID and syntax to the ID of the syntax element. And let's just call this sections. That index of isn't going to work because it's no longer an array. Object contains key. Key exists. There's a few there that could be handy. That one's good. In operator. So if section in sections. Except that's the opposite of what I want. Do that. I might want to wrap that in some extra parentheses because I'm not sure exactly the order of operations there. Now let's see if that explodes. Invalid section foo. And then it did several things after that. So that's odd. Oh, sorry, no, it's just the previous commands. That's working for syntax, and if I give it something wrong, invalid selection, wrong, section, good. Okay, so now we've got it getting section in, and it needs to use that section here. So I can do a lookup in sections and use that section as its index, and that should look up appropriate value. So syntax and summary. So that's giving me part of the syntax information, but there was more. So there's information about what these values are, what types they are. But that's a good start. I'll just remove that. So I have something here that I'm reasonably happy with. Just have a look at my div here. So reading diffs is something that you get used to. Most diffs will be line by line with a green color for added lines and a pink or red color for removed lines. But also, generally, if you have a changed line, it will show up as sort of multiple lines, one removed and one added. So for example here, this line's changed because it's just indented more. So you can see it's sort of just showing up twice there. You get used to reading that. You can also get more powerful diff tools that will just show you the changed characters on a changed line, which can be useful. Anyway, that looks like I haven't added anything too horrible. So what is this change? This is accept command line argument. The argument is the section, say section ID, say section name, so we don't get it confused with the CSS ID on a page. There we go. I've got a bunch of unsynced commits. Just push those to the server. That way I know they're out on the internet. So if something horrible happens to my computer, I still won't lose that information. Alright. So I'm looking that up. I guess I could add some other sections to be able to get. So I'll just jump back to that page that I was looking at. Description section. It's called description. It's easy enough to remember. I'll just add description for now. We can work on the others later. It's not necessary for the next stuff that I want to do. I can easily just add other sections once everything's working. Let's call it desk. And that to hash description. Oh yeah, the idea here was also to be able to map to some Node.js documentation as well. So to make something that eventually knows where it should be looking for a particular module that you look for, and then we may need some different mappings for how things are identified in the Node documentation. But for now, it's just being hard-coded to the MDN stuff. So that should give us only the first part of the description, but I'll just do a quick test of that. Yep, it's telling me some info. So the next thing I want to do is try and get the full description, get all sections. And it looks like in this case, basically the structure is to have H2 as the heading for a section, and then to have some number of other elements, and then to have another H2. So that could be an interesting one. I guess I could just keep looking up the next sibling and checking whether it's a H2, and if it is, then stop there and not include it. Maybe there's something related to jQuery's next sibling that'll get us all the siblings up to a point. Perhaps a C also for this. Some demos. siblings up to next heading. Next until, that looks good. Next until selector filter, get all following siblings of each element up to but not including the element matched by the selector, DOM node or jQuery object pass. That looks like exactly what I need. So I hope that Cheerio has that. So instead of next until, in this case it's until a h2 element. So the selector for that doesn't have anything in front of it. I'm just going to try that as is. That looks nice. Looks like we have 3 separate paragraphs there. And if I have a look back at that documentation, the description, we have 3 paragraphs. So it is just pulling the text out of them, and what are we doing exactly? So this is mapping across each of them, so I'd be calling this function for each of those matches. Now I could do something to collect those up. I probably will at some point when I want to process it better or highlight it. So I probably won't just be logging the text out of it, but that's nice for now. That was easier than I was expecting. So that's good. So what have we got? Uncommitted changes. Show those. Just adding description and next until. Well, I mean those are really 2 separate changes. They're not related to each other, and they're not matched together with overlapping lines. So something that I would often do, usually when I have more changes than this, actually, yeah, I'm going to open my Git shell. So I can open Git shell from here. That's an easier way to do it. So I can open a shell here, and what I probably want to do is see, that's accepting command line arguments. Let's pretend that that description was always in there. So I'm going to do git add patch. This is git add is basically the same as checking these checkboxes. So if I did git add index.js, it would add index.js to the items that would be committed. And git add patch basically has it give me each chunk of the code and ask whether I want to add that. So in this case, description, I'm going to say yes. And that other section, no, I'll leave that until next time. So now I should just have that section in the patch. I don't know if it'll show up in the GUI properly. But git status shows me what I've got. Git diff shows me the difference between like what's in this modified part that I haven't staged. It shows me that other section, and git diff staged, I think, shows me the stuff that is in the staged, the difference from the base revision that I was working from. So that's got exactly what I want, and now I'm going to go git commit, and this time I'm going to go amend, so that'll basically merge it with the previous commit. It opens an editor to see if I want to change the text, which I don't, so I'll just close that, and that'll use the text that it had. So now, if I have a look, it should be out of sync. And there are some differences. So if I hit sync up, I wonder how that's going to handle it. Usually I would do a force push. Sync failed. Some of your uncommitted changes. Oh, I see. I was worried because I haven't committed the other stuff. Oops. So, git add dot to add everything. I have have shortcuts on my other computer for this, so I just type get DC for get diff cached. Makes it a lot quicker. Anyway, that's there. Git commit, and in this case, just add a message in there. What did I do? Display all section rather, just first paragraph. Save that, close it. That should make a commit. And let's see what it thinks. Let's sync those two up. Interesting to see what this does. Normally I would do a force push because I'd amended a commit, which would force my changes to overwrite whatever's on the server. I'm interested to see whether the GUI, there are conflicts. So instead of trusting the GUI and having to resolve conflicts, I think it's in the middle of a merge probably, unmerged paths. Git K, show all branches, and see what kind of mess that GUI has made of my commits. So that's the remote master without the extra line. And here's the description in my one, which I want to override that with. There's what I have now. That's where my current commit is locally, and then this is some other changes that it's messed around with. So I'm just going to do a little bit of cleaning up here in that git GUI. Reset hard, so throw away all of the changes. Does that work? I think if I refresh that, yep, that looks right. So git push force to origin master branch. Okay, I think that may have worked. Let's see what GUI thinks now. Okay, cool. That's fixed it. So there's a lesson learned. Probably don't want to try and use the GUI to push things that I've amended. Rewriting commits isn't something you should generally do a lot unless you know what you're doing. So I mean, I could have just basically added that extra change of having this line as a separate commit. Since I'm pretty sure that nobody else will be pulling from this right now, since I've just created it, and I don't mind doing a force push. But once I think other people are downloading it, then it would rewriting my Git history would be more of a big deal. So where was I up to? You can see here, I just changed it to display a whole section. That's good. And so there's the whole section there. That's probably a good place to take a break, since we're getting up near half an hour for this video. So I will take a break now and keep recording in a while.